President, would you support dollarization?
I would say that I'll leave that up to my my economic people, but I like the dollar. I'm very strong on the dollar. And anybody who wants to deal in dollars, they have an advantage over people that aren't. But for the most part, we're keeping it that way. I think if Biden would have, Biden, that group would have gotten elected, meaning Kamala, you wouldn't have the dollar as your currency anymore. You wouldn't have a world domination by the dollar if I didn't win this election. And now the domination, like BRICS. I told anybody who wants to be in BRICS, that's fine, but we're going to put tariffs on your nation. Everybody dropped out. They're all dropping out of BRICS. BRICS was an attack on the dollar. And I said, you want to play that game, I'm going to put tariffs on all of your product coming into the U.S. They said, like I said, we're dropping out of BRICS. And BRICS is like, they don't even talk about it anymore. To be careful with China. Look, everybody deals with China. They have to deal with us too. We have to be careful with China. Look, I have a great relationship with President Xi, but sometimes it gets testy because China likes to take advantage of people, and they can't take advantage of us. But we have a fair relationship with China, and I think it'll be fine. And if it's not, that's okay too. You have to do and go where the punches are thrown. You got to put up the blocks. We have a lot of punches being thrown, and we've been very successful.
We intend to further develop our cooperation in the nuclear industry with Global South countries and within BRICS. We are working very actively in this sphere. Experts believe that nuclear generation will become one of the main pillars of the future global energy balance. By 2050, the capacity of nuclear power plants across the world will almost double. Russia plans to launch nuclear power plants with the capacity of over 29 gigawatts within the next decade and a half, including small nuclear power plants, which no other country is currently building. They may have such plans, but they remain on paper. In practice, Russia is the only country that is building them. We will build nuclear power plants in the Far East and Siberia. I would like to emphasize that nuclear generation has an important role to play in producing power for consumers, whose role is expected to increase dramatically in the future. I am referring to electric vehicles, industrial robots, and automated customer service systems. There is a growing demand for electricity in the digital economy, including AI and blockchain development tools, and data storage and processing. According to estimates, energy consumption at data centers around the world is comparable to electricity consumption of heavy industry. Obviously, the areas I have mentioned represent a powerful development factor. To a great extent, they determine the country's global competitive ability, effectiveness of national economies, and the quality of life. It means that our development plans for the Russian fuel and energy sector must take all these trends into account. It is what we try to do. Among other things, I propose setting up local generation facilities, stations using locked-up resources as professionals call them, to fuel digital economy and data centers. Transportation of these locked-up resources is expensive and time-consuming, meaning it is more efficient to use them in the same location where they are produced. I asked the government to submit proposals on organizing this sort of model. One of the tasks is to consider using advanced clean coal power generation to meet the needs of the digital infrastructure, data storage and processing centers, and so on. These facilities, located directly in our coal-producing regions, provide modern workplaces and help diversify local economies. Friends, now, to the third aspect of the modern energy sector, or challenge, to be exact, that global market actors face. It is the technological sovereignty of the countries producing oil, gas and other energy resources. I am certain that you have discussed this during your meetings. We have seen how the elites in the Western countries refuse to maintain and service the equipment supplied to Russia for the fuel and energy industry in an instant. They officially refuse to comply with their obligations. That was yet another confirmation of the fact that they are unreliable partners and their actions are directly bound to the political situation, and sometimes, this political situation is used for dishonest competition. Clearly, commercial entities, I am talking about Western companies, were forced to do that, frankly speaking. They had to do that under the pressure of their ruling political elites. But the fact remains, Western technology and equipment for the fuel and energy industry may at any time become unavailable for geopolitical reasons, unavailable not only to Russia but to any other energy supplier that the West may consider an inconvenient competitor or simply a country that is not easy to deal with. We all must consider this reality of today's world. I think everybody understands that. This means that we should actively change the status of energy-producing countries from equipment buyers to technological leaders and build full-fledged energy sovereignty at the national level, from resource production and processing to product delivery. You know, the Russian fuel and energy sector is well on its way to achieving technological leadership. In fact, it has become a powerful driver for our entire domestic industry and science. Our government agencies, energy companies, enterprises, and research institutes are all collaborating, discussing these issues and coordinating specific steps. By the way, just here, on the sidelines of Energy Week, a meeting of the Coordinating Council for Import Substitution of Oil and Gas Equipment was held. This progress is reflected in the experience of our companies. I spoke with CEOs of some of them. Now, let's be frank, initially some engaged in what we might call reverse engineering. But then they moved forward very quickly. And do you know what happened next? They see their former partners in Europe, who were once dominant here, being forced to downsize. Russia was a core market for them, one of their most important markets, not the most important, but one of the core ones for selling high-tech products. When they were forced to leave this market, their production lines became unprofitable. They started laying off staff and began to lose their technological edge. Meanwhile, our specialists are driving growth and becoming technological leaders because our domestic market allows us to manufacture products at a good cost-effective level. Furthermore, we are now finding partners all over the world who are purchasing this equipment from Russian companies. Yesterday, they were buying from Europe. Today, increasingly, they are buying from us, and this trend will continue. So, what was the result of their actions? In trying to punish Russia, they ultimately outmaneuvered themselves. A classic case of cutting off your nose to spite your face, a totally absurd situation, but that is the current reality.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime. From studios to the ground, Mint breaks down business, leadership, and lifestyle, boldly, visually, and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out.
I have to work that much harder. I have to put that much more in.
Over the years.
Earlier I could say, no, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
But now I can.
Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's top market experts.
Things like that worry me about markets.
I don't want to buy a house to invest.
Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them.
So we are at the house in Camellias. I think Camellias is the most expensive property in the NCR and probably the most expensive in the country.
India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff.
Home buyers will have more bargaining power.
It's a great time to buy a house as well.
Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible.
I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be an engineer, I don't want to be an accountant. And that's the most fragile thing. Poof, it will go away.
वो ताली ऐसी थी ना, इतनी addictive थी, मैंने कहा बॉस अब तो यही होगा.
We don't just talk business, we show it, and the world's watching.